Hi, this is Cheryl for Cut at Home. Today I want to show you the Easy Mount Static Cling Mounting Foam. This is a newer product to Cut at Home. Well, I guess actually it was on site before but left for a while, but now it's back. I'm working with the traditional product here. You can see, well, let me find an angle where you can see. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick here with the foamy part. This is used to deal with all of those lovely unmounted stamps you have hanging around. If you're like me, you got a pile of these things. They seemed a good idea at the time, a fantastic deal, but when they came and you really looked at them, what the heck am I going to do with the unmounted rubber? It's a bit of a problem. Or sometimes, this is a very recent set I purchased. It's a beautiful set of Celtic snowflakes. The problem with this set, though, is if I were to buy them fully mounted, I would probably have to mortgage something. And so the Easy Mount mounting foam is just an absolute perfect answer to this problem. So let me show you what you need to do in order to mount. I'm going to actually use a couple of partial sheets of the cling foam in order to demonstrate this to you. It's just easier to get it on camera film. So this is one I cut kind of sort of in half and didn't do a very good job of. Oh well. So when you have a sheet like this of stamps, you conceivably could just lay them on and cut them out, trimming the rubber and the foam at the exact same time. There's something to be said for that. What I prefer to do, though, is to separately cut the rubber stamps out, and then I can place those strategically on the foam in order to preserve it so I get more use out of it. Cutting is very, very easy with most rubbers. You just need a decent pair of scissors. This is a pair of Fiskars. I think it's a couple-year-old holiday collection or something like that. You're going to first cut one of the stamps free from the foam, or from the larger piece of rubber, and then you can go and sort of trim it up. Now you want to trim fairly close to the image. If you don't do that, you're going to be faced with those ugly black lines that come from nowhere, and you say, why did that appear on my project? It doesn't belong there. So I'm just going to go through and trim it. Again, when in doubt, stay as far away from the image as you need to. You don't want to cut into the rubber stamped image, but you want to get as close as possible because the extra little pieces will pick up ink and they will place stray ink marks on your project that don't look so nice. So take your time in cutting. This is not a job for your fussy cutting scissors. It's a little heavy for them, so get a nice pair of heavier duty scissors in order to do this work, and just carefully cut and free that rubber stamp from all the extra rubber around it. Again, you can always go back and retrim, so rather than cut too close and regret it, it's best to leave a little extra on that you can trim off later. So now I have a couple of stamps free. I had another one floating around here someplace. I'm not sure what I did with it. There it is. And I'm ready to go to begin mounting these. Now, once I've trimmed off the excess rubber, you know, a lot of times when you buy just even the single unmounted stamps, this hasn't got any mounting to it, it has a lot of extra rubber around it. So it is important to do the trimming, get those extra pieces away. These pieces here pick up black lines, and that's the stray black lines that you'll see in your projects. Let me show you a purchased rubber stamp that's already been wood mounted. You can see that it's cut very close to the image, and that's the pattern you want to follow. I picked this particular stamp because I want to show you something that is best if you don't do, and that's have these little pointy areas. I also find the little points will pick up stray ink and leave, stray marks on your paper. So where possible, round off the edges, avoid the points, and certainly get rid of a lot of the excess as possible. Now when you work with your Easy Mount sheet, there are two sides to it. One has the light blue printing and the other has nothing. It's a plain white liner. The one side with the printing is the side with the sticky that you want to attach to the back of your rubber. The other side is the cling mount. So once it's mounted, once you mount the rubber onto the foam itself, then you can remove that and you end up with the cling mount stamp. So to begin, I'm just going to pull back the edge of my liner a little. I'm going to place my stamps carefully. I want them as close to the edge as possible because I want to maximize use of this product. I don't like to see a lot of waste in many different things, but especially not this. And I'm going to press them into place after I put the liner back. Again, underneath the liner is the sticky side. You want to keep those fingers off the sticky so that it sticks as well as possible. Let me just move this product bag here. And underneath I have a cutting board. This is just one of my kitchen cutting boards that I don't use in the kitchen. I use it for craft things. If you have a craft cutting board, that's perfect too. I have a sharp knife here. This is an X-Acto knife. Just the standard kind. Whatever you have is absolutely fine. So I'm ready to begin trimming the Easy Mount foam. Again, I want to keep my fingers off the foam to the extent possible. I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to follow the edge of the stamp. It's important to keep your knife upright. If you angle it, you could end up cutting the foam out from underneath the rubber. And if you do that, then you create the possibility that it won't stamp properly because it doesn't have the same foam base that other parts of the stamp do. So again, cut carefully, cut completely. You want to cut all the way through the foam. You're working in this first pass at freeing the stamp from the foam sheet. And so if you don't quite get it trimmed exactly, it's okay. We can always go back and trim it. Now I think my first stamp should be free. Cut around all the edges. So I can simply pull it out. Now I can pull this extra little piece of Easy Mount off on the side. You can see I have a little cleanup work to do on this stamp, but not too bad. It won't be too difficult to go and remove the rest of that gray. Again, it's just a matter of laying the stamp down and carefully running my knife along. Again, you don't want to get it at an angle because you want top and bottom to be the same width. Here's one that I didn't quite get right. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and see how far I cut in, how much at an angle. And so this one isn't going to work. I'm going to have to remount this one. But this is the what not to do, because the problem comes in when I attach this to my clear block. Again, this gray side here, after I pull back the white liner, gives me the cling mount. But I don't have support under this end of the stamp. So see how that pushes down? When I go to stamp it, everything else will stamp well except this very edge, which will curl under, and I won't get the full stamped image. So that's why I need to redo it, or at least need to redo a part. I may be able to just trim off the Easy Mount here, for example, and replace a piece of it, but it definitely needs work. Again, with my little snowflake here, I could also simply cut around the edges, although it's very hard to do that. Again, larger scissors, smaller snowflake. You can see the easier solution is going to be to work with the knife and the cutting mat. But again, once you're satisfied that it's trimmed, you can pull the white liner off and you got yourself a cling mount stamp. How cool is that? It's just perfect. Now I have a very usable stamp and no more pile of rubber with this one. Other uses for the Easy Mount, for example, sometimes when I buy those dollar stamps, I think they're really cute at the time, but I get them home and they take up so much space. This cute little hello, for example. So I got in the mood one day to just unmount these. They all ended up in the box, you can see here. But my intent was to go and put them on the Easy Mount, and then they become cling stamps. They take up much less space than wood-mounted stamps. So in order to unmount them, first thing I did was see if they would just separate themselves. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. When they don't, I put them in the microwave for 10 to 15 seconds, and then I try and separate the gray cling from the wood. And if I can do that, then I'll separate the gray cling from the rubber. You need to make sure it comes fully off. You can see some of that gray cling some of the gray foam is still there and needs to be removed before I can remount this. I want a flat surface back here like this one. The easiest thing I find to do is to use a little piece of sandpaper, or even just an emery board if you're lazy like me, too lazy to go get the sandpaper. You can simply file it off. With this being the rubber, it's awfully flexible, so you can get it into a good position and just quickly remove that unwanted gray foam in order to create a smooth surface down here. Again, it's very, very important for these previously mounted stamps that you do clean them up. I use the hand sanitizer to clean them. It's very, very easy. The alcohol will take off any sticky or whatever else is remaining there. So just put a generous amount on, rub it in a little bit, and then dry it off with a paper towel. Make sure that the stamp is fully dry before you mount it. You should do the same thing, by the way, with your new unmounted rubber. Clean it up as well. I had already cleaned this sheet, so I wasn't thinking too much about it, but I should have mentioned that to you in the start as well. So the Easy Mount is just a great, great product. Very easy to use, and I think you'll love it. Again, it comes in the traditional height, which is this one. That's closest to what you see in traditionally mounted stamps, or ones that come, sort of from the manufacturers that are mounted. There's also a thinner version of this available on the website that would work just as well. It's just a matter of personal preference. So it's time. Order some Easy Mount Stampin' Store sheets. Grab those and mount your unmounted rubber, and look at all the wonderful stamps that you can now use. Thanks for watching. Bye.